Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to start a new series for class 10th Geography for UPSC and also for other competitive exam. And unit 1 is the resource and development. This unit is slightly a basic one, but in this unit we will learn about resource use, resource planning, sustainable development, and all these are directly asked in prelims and also in mains. Now first, let's forget the book for the minute and think in a very simple way. Every day, you and I use so many things. That is such as water for drinking and land for live on and petrol for traveling and mobile phones, clothes, food, electricity. Now the question is, what is common in all these? The common thing is all of them help us to satisfy some need. So we can call them resources. But listen carefully, everything in our environment is not automatically resources. Just because something exists in nature does not mean it is a resources. For example, 500 years ago, crude oil was just a sticky black liquid coming out of the ground. People did not know its use, so it was not really a resource for them. Later, when we invented engines and vehicles, suddenly crude oil became petrol, diesel and power. Now it is the big resources. So in simple terms, I will say to you, a thing becomes a resources only when it can satisfy some human need. We have technology to use it and it is economically possible to use it. And it is socially and culturally acceptable. If one of these is missing, it may be just a thing, not a resource. Now let's see how a simple thing becomes a resources. Now this is a small triangle. On one side we have nature and on second side we have technology and third side institutions like government, rules and markets. Nature gives us material and land, water, mineral, forest and human beings use technology such as machines, tools, knowledge to change this material into useful forms. For example, nature gives iron ore. With technology we convert it into steel and then into cars, bridges, trains. Without technology, the iron ore would simply lie inside the earth. But even after we have technology, we also need proper institution. That is, institution simply means system made by humans like government departments, laws, panchayats, markets, companies, cooperatives, and these institutions decide things like who will use the resources, how much can they use and at what price and how to protect it. So nature gives raw material and technology converts it and institution manage it. For example, take a river. That is nature giving flowing water. With technology we build a dam and power plant. With institutions, the government decides how much electricity will go to cities, how much to villages and what price and how to resettle displaced people and etc. The types of resources. The first one is on the basis of origin. Origin means where does it come from? Is it living or non-living? So we can get two types. The first one is biotic resources. Biotic means living. So biotic resources are those which come from the biosphere and have life or once had life. When I say biosphere, just imagine the zone on earth where life exists. That is plants, animals and humans. Second one is abiotic resources. The abiotic means non-living. These are the things that do not have life. For example, rocks, sands and so on. Next, second type is on the basis of exhaustibility. The world itself tells you, can it get exhausted or not? Can it finish? Here we get two types, that is renewable and non-renewable. The first one is renewable. I will talk to you like this. A renewable resource is like a rechargeable battery. You can use it again and again because nature can refill it. These resources can be renewed or reproduced by natural process or by human effort. For example, solar energy, wind energy, and so on. But there is a small point. Some renewable resources are continuous like sunlight and wind. They will not end in human time scale. Some are flow resources like river water. They keep moving and we can keep using. Still, if we overuse forest or wildlife, they can get depleted. So renewable does not mean we can blindly overuse. It just means nature has a capacity to regenerate. Next one is non-renewable resources. Now think of a non-rechargeable battery. Once the charge is gone, it's gone. So similarly, non-renewable resources take millions of years to form inside the earth under heat and pressure. For example, minerals like iron ore, copper, bauxite, etc. The fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, natural gas. So some of these like metals can be recycled. For example, you can melt iron and steel and use again. But some like coal and petroleum cannot be recycled. Once burnt, they are finished. Next, on the basis of ownership. The first one is individual resources. Individual means private. These are resources which are owned by single person or family or sometimes by a private company. In village, when land is allotted to farmers by a government and they pay land revenue and use that land, that is individual resources. And next one is community owned resources. These are resources that belong to the whole community and everyone in that locality can use them. For example, village common grazing land and village ponds and burial grounds, public parks, etc. Next one is national resources. This is very important because technically all resources inside our political boundaries belong to the nation. That includes land, rivers, forests, minerals, wildlife and ocean area up to 12 nautical miles from the coast. We call this area territorial water. Even private land and property at the end of the day is under the legal authority of state. The government can acquire private land for public purposes like building a highway or railway line or a canal and airport. You might have seen news about land acquisition. So anything within India's territory ultimately comes under national resources. Next, international resources. Now beyond national jurisdiction, some resources are under international control. No single country can sit and say this ocean area is mine if it is beyond the exclusive economic zone. For oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles from the coast, the open sea resources are controlled by international institutions like United Nations and countries need permission to explore or mine there. For India has got the right to mine manganese nodules from the bed of the Indian Ocean beyond its exclusive economic zone. This right is given by an international body, not by India itself. Next, on the basis of status of development. The first one is potential resources. These are the resources that we know exist and we know that they can be used but we have not yet fully used them. For example, the western parts of India, that is Rajasthan and Gujarat, have huge potential for solar and wind energy, lots of sunlight, open areas, strong winds, but earlier and even today to some extent this full potential is not developed. So those solar and wind energy sources are potential resources. Next one is developed resources. These are the resources that we have surveyed properly. We know how much is there, that is quantity, and how good it is, that is quality. We also have technology and economic conditions to extract and use them. For example, a coal mine that is being used or a dam which is generated electricity or an iron ore mine in Chhattisgarh, these are developed resources. So you can think potential means could be used in future, not fully utilized, and developed means already measured and being used. Next is stock. Now this word is a bit confusing for students, so let's go very slowly. Stock means material present in the environment which can satisfy human needs, but we don't have the technology yet to use them in a practical way. For example, hydrogen. Water is made of hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen is a very rich source of energy. In theory, if we could separate and use hydrogen easily, we have a wonderful fuel. But in practical, today we don't have technology to use hydrogen from water in a cheap, large scale and safe way for everyone. So that hydrogen energy from water is in stock. It is like money locked in a locker without the key. So stock simply means we know it is there, we know it is useful, but we do not yet have the technical key to unlock it. Next, reserve are like a subset of stock. Here we do have the technology to use that resource, but we have decided not to use all of it right now. We keep it for the future. For example, the river water for hydroelectricity. We have ability to build dams and generate power, but we are using only part of the total water potential. Similarly, water stored in dams, forest reserved for future generation, these are called reserves. Now guys, after understanding what resources are and how humans convert them, we come to very important issue, that is what happens when humans use resources without thinking. See, earlier people believed resources are unlimited, nature will give everything, why worry? This attitude led to a very big problem, that is overuse and misuse. Let me explain very simply. If one or two people take more than they need, if one country is using the world's resources more than all other countries combined, then slowly nature becomes stressed. And today we are seeing the consequences such as temperature rising, that affects global warming and more pollution in air and water, ozone layer thinning, land getting degraded and forests disappearing. So resources are not only an economic topic, they are also an environmental topic, a social topic and even a moral topic. There is another serious problem, that is inequality. When some individuals or countries grab more resources, they become rich and the rest people become poor. So Let's understand the word sustainable development. Imagine you have a big chocolate bar. You are eating it slowly and your younger brother is sitting next to you. Now if you finish the whole chocolate today, tomorrow your brother will get nothing. He will fight with you, your parents will scold you. You lose peace in the house. So what do? You eat little and you keep little for the tomorrow and you share with your brother. This idea is exactly sustainable development. The sustainable development means the development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of future generation. But don't mug it, just remember, use today, save for tomorrow, that's it. Now, so in 1992, the more than 100 world leaders met in Brazil. This was a huge moment in the world history because for the first time countries talked seriously about protecting the environment. Why did they meet? Because the world was heading towards an ecological crisis such as climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution. And also understand the World Agenda 21, and it basically a global action plan for saving the earth. Just imagine a rule book that tells every country that is to use resources properly and reduce pollution and protect poor people and nature and plan development that is sustainable. That is, every local government must make its own local environmental plan. That is the very important part of Agenda 21. So sustainability isn't only national or global, it starts from every village, municipality, panchayat and district. This is why UPSC puts a high weight on sustainability, because the world itself has decided to follow it. Next one is resource planning. India is a very diverse country, not just in culture but also in resources. Some states have plenty of one resources but very little of another. For example, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh rich in minerals and coals, and Rajasthan rich in sunlight and wind but poor in water, and Arunachal Pradesh rich in water and poor in infrastructure. So if we depend only on nature's distribution, some states will always stay backward. Now, resource planning in India. That is, steps of resource planning in India. The first step is identify and create inventory of resources. We must first find out what resources we have, where they are and how much is there and what is the quality. This requires surveying, mapping, measuring and using technology like GIS and satellites, etc. And second step is develop a proper plan, such as how will we use these resources and what technologies are needed and what institutions will manage them and who will benefit. And third step is match a resources plan with the national development goals. For example, if India wants to increase electricity production, we must plan hydropower, solar power, wind power, coal usage, etc. together in a balanced way. And also, Gandhiji believed that modern technology, if used with greed, it will destroy nature. He promoted small-scale production by masses instead of mass production. And next one is land resources. Land is a base of everything for agriculture, forest, industry, road, railways, house and everything. India land has different physical features. That is, plain is 43%. It is good for farming and industry. And mountain have the 30%. It is good for forest and tourism and river system. And plateaus are 27%. That is rich in minerals and fossil fuels and forest. And each area uses land differently because of its shape, climate, soil and human activities. Next one is land utilization. When we talk about land utilization, we simply mean how are we using the land, for what purpose. India's land is divided into several categories. That is, forest and barren and wasteland, and land used for buildings, roads and factories, grazing land, land under the small plantation, fallow land and net sown area. Now the small concept, gross cropped area is equal to net sown area plus area sown more than once. This means if a farmer grows 2 crops in the same land, the land is counted twice. The problem is the India's forest area is much lower than what is recommended. Many states overuse land for farming and grazing, causing degradation. Next one is land degradation. Land degradation simply means the land is losing its quality, fertility is going down and soil is getting damaged, water's capacity is reducing. Why does this happen? Because of overuse of land and overgrazing, and mining causes in deforestation and soil damage, and over irrigation it causes you water lagging and salinity, and chemical waste pollutes the soil. And land degradation is a serious issue because 95% of our food, clothing and shelter come directly or indirectly from land. To protect the land, we can do many things such as plant more trees, control grazing, reduce mining impact and so on. But the most important is use land wisely and avoid over exploitation. Next one is soil as a resource. Now soil is the most important renewable natural resource. It literally supports life on earth, but soil takes millions of years to form. Just a few centimeters of soil might take thousands of years to develop. How does soil form? It forms very slowly through weathering of rocks, temperature change, and wind, water, living organism, and time. So soil is combination of minerals, organic material, air, water, and microorganisms. India has many soil types because of climate and rocks vary. The first type is alluvial soil. This is India's most important and widely spread soil. The entire northern plains are made of alluvial soil. How it is formed? The rivers like the Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra brings silt from Himalayas and deposit it on the plains. There are two types. The first one is Bangar, that is old alluvium, and Khadar means a new alluvium, that is more fertile. Alluvial soil is perfect for crops like rice, wheat, sugarcane because it has a potash, lime, and phosphoric acid. This is why the northern plains are thickly populated. Next one is black soil. This is also called regur soil or the cotton soil, found in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh. Why black? Because it is formed from the lava rocks. This soil holds moisture very well. It becomes sticky when wet and cracks when dry. Perfect for cotton, sugarcane, and tobacco. And these soils are generally poor in phosphoric content, and they are rich in soil nutrients such as the calcium carbonate, magnesium, and potash, and lime. Next type is red and yellow soil. It is found in South India and Eastern India, formed from the old igneous rocks. Red color is due to the iron and not very fertile but can be improved with fertilizers. And here the one thing you should note that UPSC prelims, they will ask the question like black soil is rich in phosphoric content, but that sentence is wrong. We should know it is poor in phosphoric contents. If we know the elimination trick, then it will become the easy peasy to crack the UPSC prelims. Okay. Laterite soil. It is formed due to heavy rainfall washing away nutrients. It is found in Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Usually poor in fertility but excellent for tea, coffee, cashew after proper treatment. Next one is arid soil. It is found in Rajasthan. It is sandy, salty, and low humus. It becomes cultivable after irrigation like in the Indira Gandhi Canal region. Next one is forest soil. It is found in mountains and fertile in valley and thin on slopes. Okay. Next, soil erosion. Now the soil erosion is when soil gets washed away by the wind or water. There are two types. Gully erosion, that is deep cuts in the land, and the sheet erosion, that is top layer washed away quietly. To control soil erosion, farmers use contour plowing and terrace farming, strip cropping, and shelter beds. This protects the soil for future generations. And this comes to the end of the first unit, and I will upload the unit 2 in the coming days. Till then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel.